let's go straight to the points. First of all, when you see the squad, like what comes in mind? Like what impression does you get after seeing the 55 players?
I think this is an elongated squad by the Ghana Football Association. This is basically the pool of players they've been picking from for a very long time. Because when I look at the squad, I see Siki Akono in the squad. I see a whole number of coaches within the squad, even Milovan Rajavak and then Utwadu. Players of old have been called up. Players are returning to the Black Stars. And so I feel it's a pool of players that the Ghana Football Association have assembled for a very long time. And now they are just bringing it back so that everyone will know this is the pool we have been picking from. And also, I think it's a really good squad altogether. We have the dynamics of everyone that could make it into the Black Stars team for the World Cup. So I think it's a very good squad, strengthened with the new players that will be joining the Black Stars, because we need new players in the Black Stars team to perform and do well for the Black Stars. So quality is in there, and then everything a Ghanaian would do, even though there will be shouts for other players to join the team, but everyone knows the primary or the core members of the team that every Ghanaian journalist will feel will do well at the World Cup is there.
So it reminds you of Siki Akono's statement that he has a lot of players that he's looking at. It reminds you of that statement. So you could see everybody, like players that the FA has been picking, the technical team have been picking players from.
I think Siki will look at this current squad and say, I was unlucky. I was in at the wrong time, because when you look at this current crop of players, one thing that is very evident of them is they have a certain level of energy within themselves. They are self-motivated, especially with the new players that are coming in. Look at Antoine Semenyo, you look at Inaki Williams, who has achieved so much already. And you look at even the new players that are coming into the Black Stars. And well, it's a project. For me, it's a project started by Siki Akono. But the duration of time that Ghanaians would have given him to, process everything wasn't there, because we're not churning out good results, and we're not really.
Coaching is about results.
Yes. So, like they say, you're only good as your last result. So, even though CK will feel, well, I started it, I should have been given more time to finish it. I think what he didn't do, what he didn't get the opportunity of getting or winning to keep Ghanaians happy. And well, now we have everything CK would have dreamed of having. But also it's a great pull by the Ghana Football Association, great initiative by them to bring in players to strengthen in our squad.
So before we go into the squad details, like let's talk about players that maybe you were expecting, big players or big names that you don't see them here and you are surprised, and also names that they are here that you are surprised.
Well, actually, I wasn't surprised by the list. I wasn't expecting anyone else to make the list either. That is being truthful. I'm just being truthful. I know a couple of players are doing really, really well for their club side, especially with the attacking phase of our team, the strikers. But you ask yourself, a player like Inasmi is coming into the Black Stars. He has experience. He has whole lot of attributes he's bringing into the Black Stars. Now, Antoine Semenyo is another striker that the Ghana Football Association is looking at. Now, over the past year, Semenyo has not really blossomed like the previous season because of injuries. And you look at the limited time he got within the Black Stars when he last debuted for the Black Stars. It tells that, well, we know it's a project we are building, but Semenyo is a big part of the project that we are building. And then the other players that are outside of this current crop of players would feel, well, the best player should be in the Black Stars, but that isn't the case. National teams have a way of doing their things that are very different from club level football. For club level football, when you're in form, when you are the best at the moment, then you get the opportunity and then you show your prowess. But for national team football, coaches have a whole lot of things they look at before even picking players. So, like I said, it's a big pull by the Ghana Football Association. These are players who are, for the larger part of the team, these are players who have been part of the team, apart from a few new players that have come into the Black Stars, from the left back to perhaps one midfielder, and then we're looking at the attacking phase of the game where we could have had Benatek Pate or even Kwabno Wusu is doing so well for quarterback this season. But I feel in the long run, I think the Ghana Football Association will discuss with them that maybe in the long term, you have projects with us that you may come into the team. But look at Felix Afenyajan, who will be, by the FA, will be a larger or a bigger part of the future project that they are building. And then you look at Antoine Semenyo at his age, he'll be a bigger part of the future. And you look at Kwesi Riet, who is also starting, who is returning to the Black Stars fold.
Yeah.
Well, he offers something. He's more of like a tournament player anyway. In tournaments, we have to send weird players, or let me put it in quotes, weird players, because you may want to go the natural way. You want to play the natural way, but circumstances within the tournament will prevent you from playing exactly the same way every time. So for like Spain, when they won the World Cup, they have a player like Fernando Llorente on their bench. When the going got tough and then they needed a target man, they brought him in. Now you look at the stature of Kwesi, a player like Kwesi, and you look at the players that have been exempted. Now, all the players that have been exempted will be going toe-to-toe with the strikers that have been chosen at the moment. So what the strikers who have been chosen at the moment will have over them is the fact that they've been in the Black Stars for a very long period of time. For a player like Afenyajan, the GFA will look at him and say, well, it's a long-term project that we are building, even though he's not having game time in Cremonte, and maybe largely due to the fact that he's been off and on with injuries. Then well, these are very different players, and we treat different players or players who are part of the project very differently from the number core of the players. Now, Tekpate will be battling out with a player like Inaki Williams. Kwabna will also be battling out with a player like Inaki Williams or Antoine Semenyo. Now, apart from injuries, Antoine is a fine player. Last season, we saw his numbers, and then you compare them to, should I give Antoine Semenyo, who will be a part of the larger project in the future, or who will give me something very different from what these players will be giving? Do I keep him in the team? He's also been with the team. He's also been with the group. He's wanting to play more minutes for the Black Stars, which he hasn't gotten the opportunity due to injury. So these players are competing naturally with this kind of players, Inaki Williams and Antoine Semenyo. Quite different from Felix Afenyajan, who will be part of the project and will be untouchable. I'm putting it in quotes, untouchable, because I feel when you are part of the project, your discussions around you should be limited.
Yeah, you are treated like differently.
Exactly.
You are given a bit of preference. Yeah, like
exactly. So on the scale, maybe I may look at the numbers or the number of goals he scored, or the number of per minutes that he scored for his club. It won't be impressive. But if you look at this and see, well, in the past, we did some similar projects and it worked for us. So let's keep this kind of player. I think
see what happened.
Yes, exactly. So it's a bit different. And I feel players like Tekpate and then Kwabno will also get the opportunities. That one is just very near. They may get the opportunities and then they can.
At least it's not the first World Cup too, because Kwabno Wusu, for instance, is young. Is relatively young and he would have a lot of time to play. So I think you've done a good job. You talked about the attackers. Now, then let's break it down to the rules, like the departments of the game. So you have the goalkeepers. You have Walakot, Danlad, Abdul Manaf, Richard Ofori, and Lawrence Atizigi. Is there anybody elsewhere that you thought should be here? And if you are taking 4 or 3, like who are you going to drop here?
Okay, so well, I don't think there's anyone in Ghana or anywhere in the world at the moment who want to be in the Black Stars team at the moment as a goalkeeper. Jojo Wolakot was a revelation by Milovan Rajevac, and I think this is pretty much the best goalkeepers you have in the world at the moment. Even though I know of certain bright lights who are coming up as goalkeepers for their various clubs. I think those discussions will come in after the World Cup, where we can look at other players that can maybe switch nationalities, especially for the goalkeeping department, or even better, we look at other prospects that may come into the Black Stars team. I think for now, this is what we have. and the current crop of goalkeepers are fairly good enough to do good for the Black Stars. Now, if I'm supposed to metrically, or when I'm using statistics-based analysis, the best goalkeeper for the Black Stars, without a doubt, is Manaf. Sorry, not Manaf, Atizigi. Now,
yeah, based on numbers,
Atizigi is the finest goalkeeper for the Black Stars, but he's not been able to, shine for the Black Stars. He's not been
whenever he's in the post. Yeah,
exactly. He's faced he's had some undecent spells with the Black Stars, and even the last call up, he wasn't part of it. So you look at all these and say, no, Atizigi can't be part of the Black Stars team, but to be the number one, no. And then Manaf Nuruddin, did really good for the Black Stars at the Caribbean Cup, but at the moment he's lost his position at his club level, and that really questions whether or not he should be the Black Stars number one. Well, the original number one and then the current Black Stars number one, Richard Ofori, and then Jojo Wolakot. I call Richard Ofori the original Black Stars number one because without injuries, he should be the Black Stars number one. But at the moment, injuries, even I think in 294 days of football, he's missed that for his club level. I think if the statistics, if I'm getting the statistic right, and he's missed about 40 games for his club side. So look at the PSL, which is about
less than much.
Yes, so he's missed basically a whole season, and it's not like a full season. He's missed it in between time and between time. So in as much as he may be the right person to lead the Black Stars to the World Cup, I think consistency is a really big part of selection. And Jojo Wolakot has been consistent for his club side and also earned promotion from Sweden Town, which he first debuted the Black Stars with, and then he's moved up to Charlton, which is really good for him from the fourth year to the third year. You never know. He still has some great numbers when it comes to saves in the third year of English football.
So you are going to take you're going to drop Dan Lad and take you're going to drop Lawrence Atizigi and take Dan Lad to the World Cup if you are given the chance.
No. If I'm given the opportunity, I think apart from the fact that the Minister of Youth and Sports maybe has given a gist to what may really happen at the World Cup by mentioning the fact in Parliament that about $10,000 will go per day will be going to the clubs that the players may represent. So that for me is a gist of perhaps Kumasi and Santikota will get one. I'm not in post, and then maybe we may take 4 goalkeepers to the World Cup, and then maybe for me that is basically what I'm thinking. But on merit, I think Dan Lad shouldn't be going to the World Cup. He for me, I've always said this. I'm in love with 4 goalkeepers. I'm in love with them because the tall goalkeeper will give you a lot of attributes the short goalkeeper won't give, even though often short goalkeepers will give. I'm saying short in context because Dan Lad is 5'9", that is basically 1.81 meters. So he isn't at par with any of the goalkeepers because Manaf is 6 feet plus, and then Jojo Wolakot is 6 feet plus. That is Jojo Wolakot 1.9 meters, Manaf Nuruddin 1.9 meters. Atizigi is 6 feet, I think 185 thereabouts. So when you look at relatively the height of the goalkeepers that have been chosen, he's the shortest of them all. And for a World Cup, which will have a lot of floating balls around, I doubt unless of course the Ghana Football Association decide to go with the context of, he's been through the ranks, and then we think when he's given opportunity, like coaches have been given the opportunity to go and experience what
the tournaments,
the work. Yes. So unless of course there are exceptional situations
so for you,
which
if it's not exceptional situations and based on classical performance on the pitch, you are taking Dan Lad out.
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at the defenders here. And there's Kosa in it. How many football have you seen him play? Clearly telling you that, just as you said initially, that it's players that the coaches have been monitoring and they've been looking at. So they are just telling you that, hey, we are still watching you if you are still playing football, kind of thing, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's basically the pool. Dennis Kosa hasn't really been impressive in the Ghana Premier League at the moment. Even though at the Caribbean Cup he got the nod to start, but the introduction of Patrick Pozo would bring something different.
What kind of player is he?
Pozo is really very good. One thing he has to his game is area ability. You look at his numbers in the Moldovan League, or even better in the Europa League with FC Sheriff, and he's really good. Yes, he's a left back. So he's a left back who is tall and then can do both boxes for you. He has 1 assist to his name this season. He's created 9 chances in the number of games that he's played for his club in the Europa League and then also in the Moldovan League. So he's a player who is strong. You look at how he's risen to the ranks at FC Sheriffs, and then he's willing to intercept and then make some really good strides for his team. So I think it's good. It's good for him.
But I want to ask you this question. You know, one of the defenders that Eduardo didn't add to the provisional squad, part of the players that were convinced to switch nationality. That's Patrick Pfeiffer, I should say. Like, what does this mean?
Pfeiffer, to many, has done really a good work. In the last call-up, I think before the last call-up, he was really on a bad spell. He had the red card, scored an own goal before the last call-up was done. But since then, he's got goals within his sleeves for his club. He has 10 the 4 teams, and then he's doing really good for his club. I think this shows that even for the players that were convinced to switch nationalities to Ghana, it wasn't a done deal for them to join within the Black Stars unit. And then they had to work their way into the Black Stars. At the moment, for the defensive phase, I think Ghana are solid as a rock. That is basically where most of our quality is at the moment, even though I feel the midfield currently has more quality than the defensive phase. But we do have
a lot of centre backs, if you ask me.
Exactly. A lot of centre backs and centre back options. So I think he's facing a very tough test of, coming into the Black Star. But I think also communications has been gone around with the players that were not invited to let them know there's some form of solidarity, and then in the future, maybe they may join into the Black Stars. So it's not a straightforward something that the association is looking at because you have switched nationalities. You have to join the Black Stars. But in the long term, they
let's look at the midfielders, and even then we put together the wingers, because that's where maybe Wakaso returns back. Wakaso back in the squad. There's Edmond Edu, There's Alice Majid Ashmeru, and there's Jeffrey Slop, right? And Mudasiru. Like, if you look at the squad, it's obvious, and you could clearly tell that maybe the coaches just put these players together and say, okay, we are not going to the World Cup, but we have 55 players that we have to name, so we are naming you.
Basically, I think I agree. For certain players, they will be making it to Qatar, which is very straightforward. By this time, the communication has already been done to them and letting them know what the FA thinks of them, or even better, the technical units think of them. But also, these are very good options for the Black Stars we can look at in the future. For a player like Salis Samit, who is ranked as the 6th best midfielder in the French League by L'Equipe, I think it's pretty straightforward that he will be part of the Black Stars team. Unless, of course, Otuado is seeing something that Ghanaian journalists are not seeing. But also, players that have joined into the team have quality. And then you look at the leagues that they are playing in, you compare them to the others that are not in and well, this relatively it will take something more than just luck to be in the team, and it only tells that also we are parading quality in the team, which is really good for the Black Stars. And whether Samit pairs with Partey in midfield, whether it's Geoffrey Schlupp who gets the nod to partner Partey as part of the 43, whether Schlupp is playing as a wing back or whichever role is given to him, I think he'll be willing to do well for the Black Stars, which is very important. And whoever gets the nod should be able to kill.
I want to ask you this question. Majid Asmir, for instance, he's here. He's one of the players that a lot of people feel that he should be part of the national team because of his club performance. This squad, if you are taking 25 and you look at these midfielders, does it look like he might make it?
It'll be very difficult, and especially with the introduction of Salis Samit. Salis is a very different player compared to what Ashmero will bring. And then the other players. Now, Ashmero is almost like a 10. So for me, even though he plays as an 8 very well, in the Black Stars team, we are looking at someone who can give us a combination of the two. And at the moment, Partey will be someone who will give us the best passes forward passes. Salih Samed is expected to break down play, which Mubarak Wakaso really did well for the Black Stars in. Now, you look at a relatively young Samid who will give you not only the tackles and the boogie play, but also to give you something extra, the passing abilities, and then his technical gifts that he will bring to the field of play. So it's a bit tricky for the old guys, and then the kind of players that are coming to the Black Stars. For Ashmeru, I still doubt that he'll make it to the Black Stars. And I think, well, the GFA needed to let him know that he's part of the bigger pool, which they have done. And then maybe he'll be on standby, and then whoever, or if there is an injury situation, he can come in and then fill the role. But to say outrightly that he'll make it to Qatar will be a very difficult. I think what will be taken to Qatar will be a very thin midfield, even though it will be a quality loaded midfield. Look at Trey is part of the midfielders. So you have Trey, you have Partey, you have Salih Samed, you have
Geoffrey Schlupp.
These are very quality players.
You have Kudus. A lot of midfielders there. Yeah, I want us to look at the wingers, then maybe we'll quickly wrap up. So the fact that a player like Kamal Aswa, you see your name in the 55 players, that means that the coaches have an eye on you. And I think that's something that I like. The fact that there's Ernest Newman also there, the starter Muhammad. Like, if you look at this squad, and you could feel that, okay, in as much as you've not been part of the national team so much, once you see that a 55 squad has been named, and I feel that's why maybe the coaches decided to go with the 55 players instead of the straight ahead 26, at least to create an impression, to let the players know that maybe you might not be at the level of being part of the 26 players that will go to the World Cup. We got someone say, I got my eyes on you, like we are watching you, and there's an opportunity for you one day when it comes up. And I think that is very good. And maybe that's why, if you go into the politics of the announcement, maybe that's why they did that. Look at a player like Kamal Suwa. Maybe you don't expect him to go to the World Cup, but the fact that he gets his name mentioned means that he knows that there's an opportunity for him and his time might come. And I like that. So I think there's someone who's back in the squad. And
personally, I would love to see Kamal Sow at the World Cup.
Okay.
I think his contributions from the shot creation, his sequence of involvement in attacking phase for Club Rouge, ranks as the fifth best.
Coming, yeah. Who will you drop in our recent squad and take him?
I think there are a couple of players. Recent squad.
The last Utuado squad in the beginning.
Well, Ransford, Yeboah Quaindofa is an option we can look at of dropping for the World Cup.
Yeah, but also he also been exceptional in recent times for his.
Yes, he's been really good for his club, but also there is a doubt about the availability of Kamaldeen Sulemana for the World Cup. So
yeah,
um,
maybe
so
he
it's a
replaces
question mark for
Kamaldeen.
Kamaldeen Sulemana.
I think so.
So
I
he
think so.
he could be the man who is going to Qatar. And also we have few extra players that will be in the Black Star. So that few extra players for me could be Salih Samet, could be Kamal Sowa, and then perhaps any other player that may join. But I think the quality of Kamal Sowa, especially we are looking at bringing in more left-footed players in. We've complained about left-footed players in the team. Kamal Sowa has an exceptional left foot, whether playing as a winger, whether playing behind the striker, or even better, even delivering shots or crosses. Because when you look at the crossing phase of our game or the set pieces opportunity we've gotten as a team, we have not really done so much when it comes to finishing in the balls or getting in the right crosses. So per his quality, we are expecting a winger who will be able to balance with the two, who has a sumptuous left foot to pick a pass from inside his box, whether on the wing or anywhere on the field. So maybe he's an upgrade of what Fatah Ishawako is. He's more of a pro, a professional player who will give you instant results at the moment than we expect Fatah Ishawako to do maybe try 3 times.
So. Okay.
Yes, when you're looking at Fatah trying 3 times, you're looking at Kamal trying 1.5 times to actually
get you the right result. So I think for you, just we are wrapping up. Time is like, so you're going to say that in our 55 players that have been scored, you can see a lot of coaches in there, a pool of players that the head coaches are looking at. But in summary, it's a squad that you are happy with.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's a really good squad for me.
Thanks for having time and speaking with it to us. It means a lot to us. Hopefully we'll come back to you again another time.
Sure, bro.
Bye, Chan.